Before we begin this video, I recommend that you visit google.com and search for dinadata.com. This website is a great resource for the latest updates on Dinar Guru news, all conveniently located on one page. For more information, I encourage you to visit the site.
Prime Minister. General census comes after 27 years and will provide data to decision makers. Looks like someone is not happy about their cash cow getting yanked out from them. Their magic carpet just got grounded. They're not being able to steal money anymore and they're upset about it. Wales, large financial people and politicians involved in the banks, they got shut off. They're being vocal about it. Who runs some of the media in Iraq? We know some people that were at the top of the country have their fingers in the pot when it comes to media. The multi-currency practices are going to go away and ultimately they will apply a real effective exchange rate to Iraq's currency. Everything we are seeing is powerful evidence that the monetary reforms are on the table and they are knocking them out. Put on your big boy pants. The whole point of this is watching so we know where we are at, whether we stay in or move to a different investment. I clearly stated and I'm going to repeat it right now, I've always been pro the dinar revaluing. There are certain things that have to happen. That's never change. But what's coming up and our policy towards Iraq has put me into neutral zone. Right now I'm not getting out. Let's see what happens that comes on down the road. Al-Sudani reviews the readiness of the general census in Iraq. 120,000 researchers in service. Quote, Al-Sudani was briefed during the visit on the latest procedures related to conducting the general population and housing census, scheduled to be conducted next October. The news is now really starting to ramp up. Critical steps are coming forward. They're going to fall into place like clockwork. August through September is going to be the most critical period in this investment that we've ever witnessed. MPs demand through Iraq News to end the assignment of the governor of the central bank. What does it mean for us now that the CBI was taken over by the U.S. Treasury? Mark Z. The CBI was not completely taken over by the U.S. Treasury. Nobody panic. What I was told is the last few Iraqi banks that had issues with money being filtered towards Iran, 5 banks to be exact, are being cleaned up. I was told they are being cleaned up so they can pull the trigger. The world is desperate for this, RV, to happen. I think the UST being there is a good sign. There is a lot of pressure on Iraq to pull that trigger. Are they still educating the citizens on the low denominations in coins? Of course. Central bank being forced to allocate an entire floor for the U.S. Treasury Department to monitor money transfers and prevent any illegal activities, and people call it dangerous. Well, it's dangerous if you're not playing by the rules. That's the problem. U.S. Treasury takes control of Iraq's central bank to combat money laundering. The article is different than just them taking over banking. They have actually moved permanent residents into the CBI building. This is quite new information if true. U.S. Treasury takes control of Iraq's central bank to combat money laundering. United States sanctioned the living hell out of Iran. Iran is using the banks and financial system. Iraq has to move around that to get U.S. dollars, and we, the United States, are sick and tired of it. We're changing the policy. Here's some fun. Article. 4 Arab currencies top the list of the strongest in the world. Is the Iraq dinar among them? Why in the world would you bring up the Iraqi dinar when it's at 1310? Why would you say that? Everybody and their brother knows around the world that it's lousy. It's terrible. The Parliamentary Oil, Gas and Natural Resources Committee announced today, Monday, the return of the draft oil and gas law to the government. Committee member, Ala al-Nashi, told Al-Maluma agency, the oil and gas law is currently outside the halls of the House of Representatives after it was returned to the government. She added, the government is studying the law in detail to identify the points of contention and agree on them finally. Al-Nashi indicated that the political differences over the oil and gas law still exist, and that is why it was not voted on in the House of Representatives. The Kurdish parties continue to obstruct the government in approving the oil and gas law, which has become a must to vote on in the halls of parliament, in order to end the violations and thefts that the Kurdistan regional government is pursuing in the oil smuggling file. Former Finance Committee member Mohammed al-Shabaki accused Washington on Monday of controlling the oil revenues held in the U.S. Federal Reserve. Al-Shabaki said in a statement to Al-Maluma agency, there are issues imposed on Iraq and dominance over the Iraqi economy by the United States, noting that this policy that America imposed on Iraq is the cause of the calamity in its economic situation. He added that Iraq does not have sovereignty over its money from oil exports that is in the U.S. Federal Reserve, calling on the government to free itself from this pressure and have a say in restructuring the relationship with the Americans. He said, Iraq is asking the American side for a lot of money, which represents the proceeds of the amounts in the federal bank.